Hi, I'm Brenda Workman. Welcome to my kitchen. So glad you stopped by. Please be sure and hit the subscribe button. It would be very helpful to me and I would appreciate it. Do you have folks in your life that when you decided to eat plant-based, they weren't really on board? Maybe they're folks in your household and that can make it very difficult. Let's talk about that for a few minutes. When I decided to go plant-based, my husband was not interested. And I know it would probably have made things easier if we both could do it at the same time, but I realized that I was responsible for my own health and he was responsible for his own health. And we have an empty nest, and I know sometimes, that could be easier, although there are folks that become plant-based and they have children in the home and they have to deal with are we converting the whole family or is it just one person? But in my case, it was just one other person. And I had already made up my mind that for my health, I was going to go ahead and do this, whether my husband did or not. He chose not to. So I've been eating plant-based for 5 years, and I've just tried to be a good example. Let me make a suggestion to you. Don't try to make your significant other or whoever is in your household, don't try to make them feel guilty for eating things that are not plant-based or things that are unhealthy. I've been on the other side of that before I became plant-based, that if I was eating something that I knew wasn't good for me and somebody made a comment about it, it didn't make things better, it actually made things worse. So everybody has to get to a point where they decide, I'm going to do this for me. And you can't force a person to do that. Just be a good example in front of them. So my husband has been super, super supportive of me through these years. Even when we go out to restaurants and as we travel, he knows that this is who I am, this is what I'm doing. He's very supportive. But it wasn't until recently that he asked me to start fixing a few healthy things for him. So he's not 100% plant-based, but I think he finally got to a point in his life where he wanted to feel better. He wanted to probably age with a good quality of life, which was one of my main reasons for switching to a plant-based diet. And so he asked me, could I help him? And so I just want to share with you just a few things that I have done. He's still working, so he gets up earlier than me in the mornings. Sometimes he's out the door by 5:30 a.m. And so I try to have things ready for him the night before, so it just makes it easy for him. I try to pack his lunch for him so that he has healthy things. Once he retires, maybe we can take turns doing the cooking together and maybe it will be different. But right now, while he's working, I want to be a support system to him if he wants to eat healthier. So I'll share with you a few things that I do to try to make his life a little easier when it comes to eating healthy. I try to keep fresh fruit cut up, made into like a fruit salad. Any kind of berries or oranges, apples, just anything that I have, try to mix it together. I put that in jars. We use a lot of jars in our house, and that way he can just throw a jar in his lunchbox and have him a fruit salad during the day. And I use those too. I make him some salads ahead of time using only the veggies that he likes. And not using any that he doesn't like. So I want him to want to eat it. I also usually put in a jar of beans or maybe a jar of vegetable soup. I have a 3-bean vegetable soup here. That was another option, but he could just toss these jars in his lunchbox and be ready to go for lunch and have lots to eat and be satisfied with. I also prepare for him the amount of oats and the amount of water it's going to take to make his oats in the morning. That way, that's already done. He doesn't have to hunt for things. I put out the seeds that he's going to use. He likes to use walnuts and brown sugar, so I have that out for him as well. I hope that was helpful just to kind of see the things that I do to help him with at least breakfast and packing lunches. In the evening time, when it's dinner time, I try to prepare things that maybe they're plant-based and I know he liked them in the past. And so One of them is the Sloppy Joes, and you'll have to look for that video. I'll share it in the link below in the show notes. But if I know he likes certain recipes that are plant-based, I try to fix those so it's something he likes. But sometimes it'll be a new recipe, and he may try it and he may say, I don't like it. And then typically he'll fix himself something else. So it's not really a problem here. But I think over time with him, as it was with me, your tastes begin to change. And the more healthy food you eat and the less unhealthy you eat, you start finding yourself wanting that healthy food. And for me, I broke away completely when my doctor said, you have high cholesterol, high blood pressure, I recommend a plant-based diet. I jumped in with both feet. So the transition as far as taste is concerned happened very quickly. And finally I got to a point after about 3-4 weeks that I stopped craving the high fat, high sugar foods that I was eating. So I think over time, with your family members, if they can begin to incorporate healthier things, then maybe their taste will begin to change. As I shared in videos before, I have grandchildren as well that visit. And if I find out that there's a particular vegetable or fruit that they like, when I go to visit them or when they come to my house, I try to take those things. They don't like all vegetables. They don't like all fruits. And they do like some whole grains, so that's good. But I try to make it a special treat that I take to them just to encourage them to eat more vegetables and fruit. So there's a lot of things that you can do just to be an example. You can't force someone, and trying to force them is actually worse than trying to just lead by example. So I don't recommend that at all. But once a family member, significant other, maybe a child in your home or whatever, as soon as they begin to say, you know what, can you fix me something healthy, or, what do you suggest? Once they open up and begin to be open to changing their eating habits, then begin to support them all that you can. And eventually maybe they'll switch to a plant-based diet as well. But I hope this is helpful. I know it's hard, and I've had some people tell me it's typically women who say, I can't do this because my husband wouldn't eat this way. But I have had some men, believe it or not, say, I would not be able to do this because my wife would not go for it. So sometimes I know it's hard, especially with spouses, to figure out how I do this when my spouse is not doing it. So you just lead by example. That's all you can do. And once they're ready, you'll know, and then you can support them. Thanks for joining me today. Hope you guys have a good day. Remember, there is power in your plate. What you eat really does matter. So take good care of yourself. See you next time.